Here we are now back in the spooky basement. This, as we've said all along, is going to be one of the biggest challenges with this project, is utilising this basement space. So we've got to have 4 flats down here, so it's been really important that we get this right, because if we get it right here, it just flows better all the way up, doesn't it? So I think the original plan then was we were going to take up the floor, lower it a little bit, and that's how we were going to create this space. But talks with the structural engineer, kind of investigations and things, that's kind of moved on a bit now, hasn't it? And there's been quite a few changes. So tell us a little bit about what's changed.
Yeah, no, I will. I mean, effectively, I think we might have covered off before, but there's not enough height down here to actually, for modern room
sizes. For modern
sizes,
standards, so it needs to be 2.4 or something along those lines.
Exactly. So we were always going to have to find about 500 mil of height from somewhere, and the original plan was to go down, so dig out the basement, tank the basement, and you know, put a better flooring in, and that would give us the height that we need. But as part of the investigations, you know, we've tried to understand this building as best we can before jumping into construction, because you know, you get a chance to really you know, understand what the specification is and the costs. So we've had structural engineers, as I've talked about, who's been fantastic on this project, and we've had trial holes dug down here at his recommendation, and we've been looking for the footings to see, you know, what could we go down?
Because I think, just to explain to the audience at home, you've got to remember in here we're below ground level. So this is where, if you built a normal house, you'll be building the foundations below that. But we don't know on this particular building, it was built over 100 years ago, quite where those foundations are. That probably explains these trial holes you've had to dig then.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, in fact, it's a perfect example if you can see it on the camera. But effectively, we found, sadly, that the whole building is built on basically 1 or 2 coarser bricks. And in fact, you can see the bricks there. Right. There is no, other than the pad that you can see below these stanchions, there is no foundations on the outer walls. Oh. It's effectively it's sat on clay, being held up by the road and the structural elements of the building. So ultimately, that prevents us from going down without incurring risk of the wall sort of imploding. Yeah. And the solution to that is underpinning, but it's super expensive. Yeah. So actually, again, working with the structural engineer has been fantastic on this project. He points out perhaps the obvious things, but really we've got, if you look above, we've got these really deep wooden beams.
Yeah, these are massive, aren't they? You wouldn't get a piece of wood like that these days.
Yeah, quite. So actually, quite a simple solution in the end. We're going to go up instead of going down. We're going to remove these beams and put in steels, which will give us about 400 mil that we need.
Right.
Means we only need to go down about 100 mil, and we'll do that anyway. You have to dig it out. We have to put a modern flooring in, so we'll just bring that back up about 100 mil lower than where it is today, and that will give us the ½ meter that we need.
Fantastic. So it's worked out what was quite a complicated process has come up with quite a simple solution at the end then.
It is a simple solution, and I have to tell you, it's much more cost effective for us.
That's the important thing.
The downside is we're going to have to replace all of these old upposts that you see, which are fantastic, like 100 years ago. They look great and they would be lovely in someone's flat, but to do that, we're going to have to put new steels in, and we're also going to have them sat on new pads. So there is going to be quite a lot of work down here, but it's darn sight more straightforward and more cost effective than underpinning this whole building.
Yeah, so what we're saying with these is they need strengthening, because the extra load that's going to be above is going to put more pressure on these, and what here is at the moment is insufficient for what we're looking to create.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
That's it. So those are our challenges.
Plenty of them. So, and I think plenty for the audience at home to think about if they're looking at an old building. There's loads of things you do need to think about, and hopefully this series of videos has been helpful to kind of give you an insight into the problems we've come across and how Rob's gone about solving them. So I think that's probably going to be about it for the next couple of months. We are excited to keep kind of following through with this project, and we want to kind of come back on a fairly regular basis. I think we're saying it's going to be about a 12-month build time, so we wanted to come back at least every couple of months, maybe even sooner, but we'll be coming back to show you what kind of progress we've been making on the site. So I think next step for us is, as I say, come back in a few months' time. I'm not sure how much will have changed, because I think there's going to be, the builders are going to have to do all of their safety audits and all that kind of thing, aren't they, to make sure the site's safe and before they start bringing lots of people in.
That's correct. And to clear out, there's some removal of elements of the building that still has to be sort of demolished and taken away. Give this that sort of carcass of the building that they can start working. and then we'll be into some of those structural elements like as we talked about, the Helifix bars and the changing the steels down here. So you're not going to see rooms and bathrooms and kitchens for a while, but there'll be some things we can talk about probably in 6 to 8 weeks' time.
Fantastic. So yeah, we're looking forward to welcoming you back. If you have got any questions or anything, by all means leave a message in the comment below, and either myself or Rob are happy to answer any questions you've got. And we look forward to inviting you back to the Hap Cap factory soon. Thank you.